From Novice to Pro, how to learn Primavera P6 in just 30 days. If you're looking to take your project management skills to the next level, learning Primavera P6 is an excellent way to do so. As one of the most popular project management software tools on the market, mastering Primavera P6 can open doors to new job opportunities and help you become a more valuable asset to your current employer. However, with so many features and functions to learn, it can feel overwhelming to get started. The good news is that with a focused approach and dedicated effort, you can learn Primavera P6 in just 30 days. In this guide, we'll share some tips and techniques to help you go from novice to pro in no time. Whether you're a complete beginner or have some experience with the software, this guide will give you the tools you need to succeed. So, let's get started. Understanding the basics of project management. Before diving into Primavera P6, it's important to have a solid understanding of the basics of project management. This includes understanding project scope, scheduling, budgeting, and resource allocation. Without a strong foundation in these areas, it will be difficult to effectively use Primavera P6 to manage your projects. To start, make sure you understand the goals and objectives of your project, as well as any constraints or limitations. This will help you create a project plan that is realistic and achievable. Next, create a project schedule that outlines the tasks and activities required to complete the project. Use a tool like Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets to create a simple Gantt chart that maps out the timeline of your project. Once you have a basic project plan in place, you can start thinking about resource allocation. This involves identifying the personnel and equipment needed to complete each task, and assigning them to the appropriate roles. Make sure to consider any constraints, such as budget limitations or availability of resources, when making these assignments. Finally, it's important to continuously monitor and track project progress to ensure that you're staying on schedule and within budget. Use tools like time tracking software or progress reports to keep tabs on how each task is progressing. Setting up your Primavera P6 environment. Now that you have a solid understanding of the basics of project management, it's time to set up your Primavera P6 environment. Before you can start using the software, you'll need to install it on your computer or access it through a web-based platform. Once you've installed the software, take some time to explore the different features and functions. Familiarize yourself with the user interface and the various menus and toolbars. You'll also want to customize your settings to match your preferences and workflow. One important setting to configure is your project calendar. This will dictate the working hours and days for your project, and will impact how your project is scheduled. Make sure to set your project calendar based on the needs of your project and the availability of your resources. Navigating the Primavera P6 user interface. The Primavera P6 user interface can be overwhelming at first, but with a little practice, you'll quickly become comfortable navigating the different menus and screens. The main screen is divided into several sections, including the Gantt chart, activity details, and resource assignments. To create a new project in Primavera P6, click on the File menu and select New. You'll then be prompted to enter basic project information, such as the project name and start date. Once you've entered this information, you can start adding activities to your project. Creating a new project in Primavera P6. To add a new activity to your project, click on the Activities tab and select Add Activity. You'll then be prompted to enter information about the activity, such as the start and end dates, duration, and resource assignments. You can also add dependencies between activities to create a more accurate project schedule. As you add activities to your project, they will appear on the Gantt chart, which provides a visual representation of the project timeline. You can use the Gantt chart to identify critical paths, slack time, and other important scheduling information. Adding activities and dependencies to your project. Adding activities and dependencies is an essential part of creating an accurate project schedule. To add a dependency, simply click on the activity and drag it to the activity that it depends on. You can also use the predecessors and successors columns to specify dependencies between activities. It's important to note that Primavera P6 uses a special coding system to identify different types of dependencies. For example, FS stands for Finish to Start, which means that the dependent activity cannot start until the preceding activity has finished. SS stands for Start to Start, which means that the dependent activity cannot start until the preceding activity has started. Creating a project schedule using Primavera P6. Once you've added activities and dependencies to your project, You can use Primavera P6 to create a project schedule. This involves assigning resources to each activity and specifying the duration of each task. To assign resources, click on the activity and select Assign Resources. You'll then be prompted to select the appropriate resources from a list. You can also specify the number of hours each resource is assigned to the task. As you add resources and assign durations to each task, Primavera P6 will automatically update the project schedule to reflect any changes. This allows you to quickly identify potential scheduling conflicts or resource constraints. Resource allocation and management in Primavera P6. Resource allocation and management is a critical part of project management, and Primavera P6 provides several tools to help you manage your resources effectively. One of the most important features is the resource histogram, which provides a visual representation of resource availability and utilization. To access the resource histogram, click on the View menu and select Resource Usage Profile. You can then select the resource you want to view and set the time period you want to analyze. The histogram will show you how much time each resource is allocated to various tasks, and whether they are over or underutilized. Tracking your project progress in Primavera P6. Once your project is underway, it's important to track progress to ensure that you're staying on schedule and within budget. Primavera P6 provides several tools to help you do this, including progress tracking and earned value analysis. To track progress, click on the Tools menu and select Update Project. You can then enter information about the actual start and end dates, as well as the percentage complete, for each activity. Primavera P6 will then update the project schedule to reflect any changes. Earned value analysis is another important tool for tracking project progress. This technique involves comparing the actual cost and schedule performance to the planned cost and schedule performance. This allows you to identify potential problems early on and take corrective action. Generating reports and analytics with Primavera P6. Primavera P6 provides several tools for generating reports and analytics to help you analyze project performance and identify areas for improvement. Some of the most useful reports include the Gantt chart, resource histogram, and earned value analysis report. To generate a report, click on the Reports menu and select the appropriate report type. You can then customize the report to include the information and metrics you want to analyze. Primavera P6 also allows you to export reports to other formats, such as Microsoft Excel or PDF. Tips and tricks for mastering Primavera P6 quickly. Learning any new software tool can be challenging, but there are several tips and tricks you can use to master Primavera P6 quickly. Some of the most effective strategies include: take an online course or tutorial to learn the basics of the software. Practice using the software on real projects to gain hands-on experience. Use keyboard shortcuts to navigate the software more quickly. Customize your settings and workflow to match your preferences and needs. Join online forums or communities to connect with other users and get tips and advice. Conclusion and next steps. Learning Primavera P6 can be a challenging but rewarding experience. By following the tips and techniques outlined in this guide, you can go from novice to pro in just 30 days. Remember to focus on the basics of project management, set up your environment, and practice using the software on real projects. With dedication and effort, you'll be managing projects like a pro in no time.